Believe me when I tell you, I'm giving it all away. I don't want it. I'm giving it all away.
Boy, Mayday, guys. We're struggling with deciding on something.
This half bath is making us like cream the sheets 24/7.
Boy, does that look good.
I'm Kristen, and this is Matt. We've spent the last 4 years sailing our $5,000 Craigslist boat to some of the most beautiful places in the Caribbean. From spearfishing in South Andros, Bahamas, staying in a treehouse and riding horses through the rainforest of the Dominican Republic, to even dodging hurricanes in Puerto Rico. We could have never imagined what this adventure would become. After gaining more sailing experience, we knew we had to make some serious upgrades to our boat if we wanted to keep this journey going. So we decided to go all in with our 40-year-old boat and get a new engine. We soon realized that we were in for more projects than we originally planned on. There's going to be some major changes coming up, so hit subscribe and join us for the journey.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sailing GBU. This week we are picking right back up where we left off, and if you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. We left off on pouring epoxy on our countertops in our boat. I know it's crazy. I know a lot of people are saying that's not a good idea, but we're doing it anyways. And we were pretty nervous, and we did a small piece that's gonna go in the bathroom, and things didn't go quite to plan. But we did learn some stuff, so today we're going to be using what we learned to keep going forward in these projects.
Alright guys, so as Kristen said, we were really nervous to start this project, and we were right to be nervous. We ran into a couple of problems. I thought that it would pour a little bit thicker on the edge and it would come out white, but it was a little more clear, see-through. Even with the pigment in there, you could still see clearly through the edge. So we have to router that a little bit better so that we get a more even, thicker flow over there, and we have to prime that a lot better. Also too, we used the wrong roller that had fibers in it, so every so often you see a small fiber that's not that great. And then Bear kicked a little piece of kitty litter up into it, and it left a little bubble there at the top, which was not great. So if we can fix those three problems though, I think it's gonna come out really beautiful, and we're gonna be ready to move forward. All right, so back in the half bath, we're getting ready to take some of those lessons that we learned last week with our small project, and we're going to move them up to a bigger project that is slowly becoming the pride and joy of our boat project so far. This half bath is making us like cream the sheets 24/7. We love this half bath. It's beautiful. So I got my 1/8" bevel edge. I think it's beveled edge. And what that's going to do is knock that harsh 90-degree off, because what that did was it cut my epoxy. It made it pour extremely thin over the side. So this is going to get a thicker pour, more of a waterfall feature without losing that square look. Alright guys, so quick hack, quick tip, word of the wise here. When you're doing a big boat project, get these super heavy duty black bags. They're expensive. They're like 30 bucks for a box of them. But they're so heavy duty that you can double purpose them. You can use them as like drop cloths and backdrops when you're spraying, or veneering, spraying spray adhesives. And then when you're done with that, you can always throw more trash in it and throw it away. So they serve dual purpose. Instead of buying plastic protection and then garbage bags, just buy the garbage bags, use them for that, and then reuse them for garbage. This way you lower your carbon footprint. So while the primer is drying on that, I got it moved out of the way so it's safe. I'm going to address my old mistakes that I made on my toilet bowl cover.
Toilet bowl cover?
Toilet bowl cover. I'm going to get that piece of gravel out that Bear so lovingly gave to us. Gonna give it a light sanding so that it accepts the new epoxy that I'm gonna put on it. And I'm going to sand this edge and route the corner so it flows, and then sand this edge off and prime this edge as well so that I get rid of that pink.
Guys, so we got it all primed and set up, and now it's time to go upstairs. Matt has a big plastic teepee to make, and it's gonna be the pour, and everything's gonna come out great. I'm feeling a lot more confident this time around now that the primer stuck. The spray paint, we went from the roller primer last time to spray paint primer, and that made a lot of a difference, we think. So
yeah, too much texture with the roller. This is laying down flat, and I think learning what we've learned and applying our lessons, it's gonna be a home run.
all right, let's get upstairs.
So I'm up here, I'm ready to get my epoxy going. I'm excited. I'm going the extra mile though, and I gotta build my Grey's Anatomy sterile OR because you can't get one cat hair. Nothing can go wrong with this because it has to be perfect, and it's gonna be. Now it's time to party. We did all the cleaning could do. We did all the cleaning, all the preparations, every sort of what could go wrong scenario. We taped it to the wall. Hopefully all of our plastic doesn't crash down into our wet epoxy.
Hopefully your mustache doesn't fall into our cabinetry.
Bro, if the little caterpillar works his way into it, I think it'll be alright. Maybe I should just like epoxy the whole thing off, like wax it off.
You need one of those beard nets, but just one for your mustache.
True that. Maybe you can pour it.
Boy, mayday, guys. What if that ruined the whole thing?
Probably did. Alright guys, so as you can see I had a whoopsie and I exploded my white goo everywhere.
Matthew.
Listen guys, you'll never understand through the camera how much or how hard it is just to not completely suck at this job. Rebuilding a boat is hard. I'm going on record right now saying, don't do it. If you like sailing and you want to go build a boat and do this epoxy crap, just pay the people to do it. Get rich, go to college, make that big boy money, and, you know, you won't have to suck
Plus,
as much.
we don't know if our mixture now is correct. And
It's gonna
Matt
be
wants
fine.
to go through with it, and I feel like...
I had already mixed it for 30 seconds. Whatever ratio it threw out an equal ratio. That'll be fine.
That's hopeful wishing.
No,
Stay tuned, y'all.
it's just science.
projects at once takes it up a level, doesn't it? It's a little bit stressful having to eye both projects.
Panic.
Don't panic. He put a long sleeve on, so hopefully no arm hairs are going into our countertops. It's a real problem. Now it's time to get the bubbles out.
It's done. I got my flap down on my garage door now here. Definitely made way too much. I ended up burning just a half a cup. Like half, I only used about half of what I made.
Andrew spilled some. Don't forget that part.
That part. But so I had plenty left over. So realistically though, I have a lot left because this is pretty much most of what we're doing, and it's only going to take, I think it's only going to take 1 gallon realistically to do the kitchen. So we have enough to do everything twice, which I think is going to come in handy, and it's going to really help to do everything twice. By the time I double down on these 2 pieces, I will have learned everything that I'm capable of learning about Epoxy and Epoxy for the counter. You know, that's what I learned, and yeah, I'm pretty hyped on it. I think it's going to come out good, and hopefully Bear doesn't come out here skitter walking her little paws and putting cat litter all over it.
Alright guys, it's the next day. It's a beautiful day out, and we looked at our countertops the next day thinking that the plastic was going to save them from all problems, and it did not. Unfortunately, we got some dust particles. One big dust particle that's like something you just can't take your eyes off of. How do you feel about it?
My hair on my arms is really dark, so when it came off, I got 1 or 2 of those in there, and it's extremely visible.
And we made him wear long sleeves, but he should have gloves on.
Might have fell off one of my eyebrows, maybe an eyelash, who knows. My hair's really black though, so it shows quite a bit with this white countertop.
The edges look okay, and with this one we have to do a second coat. This one was supposed to be our final coat, but now there's stuff in it, so it's been kind of difficult. If you want to hear more, if we think that you guys should try this, if we recommend trying the epoxy pour, wait till the end of the video, we'll go more over that. But let's get down to the boat and look at how it at least looks in our half bath. We got our faucet in, so let's look at the full picture. All right guys, here it goes in. Whoa, I don't want to bang it up. Oh boy. All right, it's looking good, but you know what? Let's not show it yet until I open my new faucet. I got my faucet in, and I think it's gonna look really great. All right, here it is. This is the faucet I got. It's small, but it's stainless steel. It's hardcore, so I think it's gonna be the right hit for us. I didn't need anything extravagant. Ta-da! Boy, does that look good. Once it's veneered and the sidewalls are veneered, doesn't that look good, guys? I'm like ecstatic. I can't even believe we did this good. And even the little bit of dust, you can't really see it in here. Maybe once we put a light in here, you might be able to pick it up more, but for now, I'm feeling really good about this. We're struggling with deciding on something, and Matt's setting it up right now so you guys can help us decide. We don't know for our laminate on our bulkheads, our main bulkheads, the big walls that are right in the middle of our salon, should we do vertical grain or should we do horizontal grain? Now there's pros and cons for both ways. Let's get into it. We both like the horizontal grain.
Yeah, I can tell you this, and it's not up for debate. I'm going east-west, which is what I call horizontal. I call vertical north-south, east and west. So it's simpler that way. I'm running east-west on the cabinets for sure, just because the lines on the cabinets run east-west, so I think it'll run with the grain really well. But we're considering doing something different on the bulkheads, or at least on one certain bulkhead. So we can do the entire boat one way, east-west, or we can do half of the boat east-west and half of the boat north-south.
What does that mean?
Like, I want to do east-west all the way through the entire cabin and the kitchen, the salon, everything. And then over here in the back, I want to do north-south because we just have bigger walls where I don't want a east-west seam.
Yeah, so the problem is the seam. With horizontal, we can have a lower seam that possibly could be covered by the settee cushions. But if we do vertical, then where's the seam?
The seam here would be in the middle because it's 4 by 8 foot sheets, so there'd be a seam over there by that area.
So it would be vertically, but like farther to the side of the boat. But on some of the walls, if we do vertical, I don't like the idea of mixing up the walls from vertical to horizontal. He wants to go with that. I don't really like that idea.
I think it looks cool. I've seen it on some other boats.
But if you do vertical on some walls, there doesn't have to be any seam. If we do horizontal on all the walls, there's always going to be a seam. So let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Should we do all horizontal and just have lower seams? Should we do vertical and have maybe some walls have seams and some don't? Or should we mix it up just so they all have the best situation of seams, but it looks kind of strange, I think.
Alright guys, so we've made it into our super exciting epoxy pour video, and you may be wondering to yourselves, why haven't you poured the Feast de Resistance, the big boy, the bad daddy, the kitchen counters? And the problem is, I came in here to do some fine sanding to get them ready for that beautiful epoxy pour, and after seeing the way that it reacted with the other PVC and how thin the epoxy could pour in spots, I found some little kinks and some little cracks along my seam here that I was just convinced, no matter how much Bondo I put in there, when we went to move this, it was going to have too much flex and make a seam that the epoxy was just going to pour into, and it was going to be a big sad thing. Now, being as I am planning to pour 2 layers on this, I probably could have gotten away with it, but I said, you know what, it's just not strong enough. I've saved a lot of weight by using the PVC instead of the old thicker plywood or any type of MDF on this. So I said I can go along the edges and I can use some light fiberglass and some West Systems to fiberglass mat or fiberglass cloth, excuse me, that little seam on there so that when we take it off to go do it, it won't have any flex and it won't have cracks. So that's the reason I got it in there, and I'm much happier with how some of these little pieces are going to be. Now it's going to be perfect.
Guys, so there's a lot more work to be done on that. After we had to fiberglass it, there's still some texture even after all that sanding. So we might have to do some tricks. We might have to do some maneuvers like pour some epoxy on there, then sand that and try to get it to be a good smooth head starter. But don't worry, we're not going to fail on that. And we're going to probably do that off camera so you guys don't have to go through another epoxy pour video.
Unless you really want to.
Speaking about epoxy pours, let's talk about, do we recommend doing this project? We have a few mixed feelings on it. I understand now why people do the little mixed marble with the little gray strips and that. Obviously, that disguises a lot more of the particles and dust that can get in there. Unless you have like a perfect, I guess, clean workshop. I don't know.
Yeah, they did a great job with the marketing on that, because when I first saw those, I was like, wow, they're so talented to make those like extravagant marble patterns. Like, that's really crazy. But really, that would be so much easier than trying to get one flat solid color, because, you know,
white,
you could drop a few whiskers in those marble countertops. Even
it's not even hair, it's dust. It's dust particles.
Yeah, even with a lighter like marble color though, it would, all the chaos of the pattern would hold a lot of things. When you have no pattern, any little piece of chaos really sticks out. So any little hair, any little fuzzball.
So that's one thing. The second thing is that it didn't no one ever really shows the edges too much, and then we did see some videos, they make a rough edge on purpose to make it look like stone, but I think that's all disguised so you can, what is the word? Disguise your bad edge.
Yeah.
Basically, it rolls off really thin, and there's different strategies to let it build up and then drop the edge. What is it called? Flooding?
Flooding it before you flood the edge. Yeah, you can let the epoxy set up a little bit more, and then let it go on a little bit thicker, but I think in order to get a really thick, smooth edge, you would have to channel it and then pour the edges separately and then do a little bit of sanding and then pour the top. But I don't think we're going to go through all that. I think I can prep it, maybe a little bit of bondo, and it'll go good enough. And if anything, we bought enough extra so that we can do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 coats if we have to go buck wild with the coats.
We're not thrilled about the edges, but it's not horrible. It looks good. But if you have these high magical hopes that you're going to whip out this stuff and it's going to be this perfect piece of marble, or like, you know, like what's a legit countertop that they have?
Granite.
Something like that, it's probably not going to be that good. So at the end of the day, do you recommend this for people, the folks at home?
Yeah, for sure. It's really fun. You get to be creative, and it's just interesting. You know, a white countertop, it gives you some versatility rather than building wood or needing a bunch of tools. You could do like kind of a patch job. You know me, I'm Jerry Rigger extraordinaire. You could do a patch job with this and just kind of throw it in somewhere and still get a really cool looking finish, I think. We're striving for perfection on this refit, so it can be a little frustrating, but I would say epoxy is cool. It's good to go. It's relatively inexpensive, and it's, you know, it's fun.
All right, so there you have it, folks. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Share this with a friend. And if you want to see how our boat's looking at the current update, since our videos are behind, check out our Patreon. We'll have real-time updates. And anything else you got to say?
All right, yeah. So speaking of subscribers, she was doing subscribers, and last year when we did our big boat refit, we hit up to 100K subs, and we did a big giveaway for you guys. We gave away a couple $1,000s worth of stuff. We gave away some underwater scooters, some stand-up paddleboards, some tools, some merch, I believe, as well. So we're creeping up on like the mid-hundreds now, 140, something like that. We're in there. So if by the end of this refit, if you would like to subscribe, we're going to do another big giveaway for 200,000.
At the end of the refit or the end of this year?
Well, whenever we hit 200K, we're going to go ahead and get it started. But I've already started planning it now, talking to companies. As you know, we've done a lot of sponsored material in our lives, and we work with all these companies. We do believe in these companies, so I'm trying to get a lot of people involved. I'd love to be able to give away some of the things so you guys could try them out. So if we get to 200, we're doing another big giveaway. So if you won't do it for me, if you hate me and you're not subscribing just for my happiness, for the happiness of everyone that's going to be watching, we're going to do a big giveaway when we hit 200K.
So big 200K subscriber giveaway.
Help us get there.
Hit subscribe, tell your friends, get your family out there.
You, and believe me when I tell you, I'm giving it all away. I don't want it. I'm giving it all away.
You're going to Oprah
I'm going to say, you get it. You get it. You get it. I'm giving it all away.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.